All right, welcome to Module 2, Wealth. The first lesson, we will talk about how you can achieve financial freedom. Let's read the quote from Epictetus. If you can make money remaining honest, trustworthy, and dignified, by all means do it. But if you don't have to, but you don't have to make money if you have to compromise your integrity. And what I love about this quote is that it really I think it's real truly the essence of Stoicism, which is if you can do something by remaining stoic, then do it. But if you can't, then don't. Right? And if it's not saying that money is bad, or it's not saying that anything is bad. It's only bad if you do it in the wrong way. That's really what Stoicism is about. So let's take a look at what we'll cover in the first lesson of Module 2. Um, we'll talk about the Stoic perspective on financial stability and its role in a fulfilling life. We'll learn how to apply Stoic principles such as self control, prudence, and frugality to personal finances. And we will reflect on personal spending habits so we can identify areas for improvement. And then finally, we'll develop strategies to achieve long term financial stability and freedom. And it might sound like a lot, but I'll walk you through these things quickly and briefly so you can go ahead and apply them because that's really what it's about. And I promise you, it's very simple. We'll cover these things in between 10 and 15 minutes per lesson. Okay, so applying Stoic principles to achieve financial stability. So the Stoics believed that financial stability is also essential for a fulfilling life. And by being financially stable, we can focus on our goals and passions without the burden of financial stress. And that's why they believe that it was important because financial stress is something that can take over our entire lives. And the Stoics didn't believe that you have to be rich to be happy, but they believed in the practicality of life. And one of the core principles, or actually the foundational principle of Stoicism, as said by the founder, Zeno, is that you must live in agreement with nature. And by nature, they mean the rules of the planet, not only the rules of nature, as in, you know, the literal sense, but also nature in figuratively in society. What is the nature of society? What is the nature of human beings? What is the nature of human um, uh, interactions with each other? So the nature of life is that we need money to operate, and we want to be financially stable to live a fulfilling life. Now, it's quite a I said it's very simple, but at the same time, it's also difficult to grasp for a lot of people because financial stability, and I think if this is your main takeaway of the entire course, I think it could change your entire life because it definitely did for me. Financial stability is not about a number, it's also not about being rich, it's about a feeling. Um, if you have skills, if you have a network, if you have a decent job and you have decent savings and you save your money, you invest your money, you can have a feeling of financial stability, and that is the key. The key is to feel financially stable within your mind. For me, that turning point came around 2018. By that time, um, my income from my courses and books started to pick up, and I bought a house with my income. And I felt like I've developed certain skills in my career, in my life, that I could apply to always get a job. I was like, yeah. By that time, I felt comfortable that I would be never be without work, and I started to feel financially stable. And that's also the time that I started to write about these things. Is that uh, the money is an emotional topic. It's not a rational topic. People who talk about money like math don't get it, because money is really emotional. And the moment that you start looking at that way, and you start to work towards a situation in life where you feel emotion or financially stable, you can start living a fulfilling life. And by being financially stable, you can focus on your goals and passions without the burden of financial stress. And that, again, I want to emphasize that financial stability is not about being very rich. Okay, it's a feeling. So let's go on to the next slide. Applying Stoic principles to your finances. So again, you can apply the principles of Stoicism to your finances by practicing self-control, just like the way that we practice self-control within our diet or exercise routines. We do it with our finances. Sometimes we say, yeah, I'm not going to spend money on wants, stuff that I want, like dining out, vacations, buying clothes, etc., for several months or something, just as an exercise. Um, Self control means resisting impulse purchases and reducing friction to saving and investing. So this the second point is something that is ongoing. Always resist impulse purchases. If you go to a store, if you go somewhere and you have a goal and I want to buy something, buy that thing, nothing else. Even if you see a nice deal, just resist it because you don't need it. And then the second part of this sentence is reducing friction to saving and investing. Reducing friction means just making things simple. If you automate as much as you can, automate your savings, set up an automatic payment from your checking account to your savings account every single month for a specified amount. Then you can automate your investing as well. So you can do the same thing with it, with investing. You can automate it with, for example, interactive brokers. You can automate your buying. You can say, okay, buy this ETF every single month for $100, for example. And then prudence, I mentioned earlier. What does it mean? It means making informed financial decisions and avoiding unnecessary risks. So it means just taking the time to think things through. Don't do things that are outside your control. Don't do things that you have no knowledge about, right? Stay within your circle of competence, as Warren Buffett said. And then frugality means finding ways to reduce expenses without sacrificing the quality of your life. That's really important. That's something also from the Stoics, is that do not deprive yourself. I know a lot of frugal people, and I have those folks in my family as well, who are frugal to the point where it becomes extreme. They are depriving themselves. I have a family member, and they were forced to stop this behavior. But until recently, you could get plastic bags from the supermarket for fruit. In the Netherlands, they stopped uh, giving away those plastic bags for free, but they would my family member would go in and take out a bunch of plastic bags, and they're small, right? Because they're not so big. This is small for, but they would use it as trash bags. Like, and then one time she said something to the effect of, like in a very proud way, I haven't bought trash bags in like 10 years or something, and that's a level where it becomes extreme, right? Because this is just an example, but if you like become too frugal, you start depriving yourself as well, because same person hasn't been to the cinema in like 10 years, right? Or they almost never eat out. So just make sure that you don't sacrifice the quality of your life. Use the same Stoic principles that you have learned throughout your reading or throughout this course, um, of determining what that means, quality of life, and making sure that you have your own definition of that by not going overboard. Um, Now, identify areas for improvement in your own life when it comes to spending habits. So it might include reducing dining out, canceling subscriptions you don't use, or finding ways to reduce utility bills. But by making small adjustments to your spending habits, particularly to the things that you don't need, you can achieve a little bit more financial stability and work towards your long-term goals. Um, Long-term goals, I'm referring to retirement goals, and we'll talk about that also later. But um, what I'm really aiming at is create a lifestyle that is sustainable. Again, like the fitness lesson, create a lifestyle when it comes to your spending habits that's sustainable, but at the same time also enjoyable and is not depriving you too much. And this, what you see here, these identifying areas for improvement, is really an exercise. So you want to pull out your journal and start writing about the areas in your life that you could improve on. Um, and it could, the first thing that I would look at is, are there some unnecessary spending habits that you have that you feel are, you could do without, right? And it's as simple as that. And again, you don't have to go overboard. You don't have to go find free plastic bags somewhere. Just find ways of making your life simpler. And often, the simpler you get, the less expenses you also have. And for me, that's always been a very important thing. Is as I have increased my income, my lifestyle has remained the same. Like my expenses, and okay, they have increased a little bit, but not nearly as how much my income has increased. So what it means is that my expenses and my lifestyle has been more or less the same over the past 10 years, or, you know, to be a little bit more specific, last 5 years, it's been somewhat the same. And as my income has increased, the amount of money that I've been able to save and invest has increased as well. So that is really the goal. And when I referred earlier to like working towards your long-term goals, and I think that's one of the keys, right? So as you increase your income throughout your life by learning more skills and providing more value, and obviously focusing on what you control, you're able to increase your income, maintain your spending habits. And that's what this lesson is about. Lesson number one is really, the key is to find a way in life that you are comfortable and happy with the amount of money you spend. Don't get lured in by luxury products, luxury vacations, and wanting everything at the same time. If you want something, pick something, and always see it as self-control exercises. The reason that I don't want to have everything in my life, where I could easily have a more expensive car, a bigger car, or a bigger house, could go on more vacations, buy more clothes and products, etc. I could do those things. I'm not doing it because I see it as a spiritual exercise. I could do it, but I'm not doing it because it's not a rabbit hole that I want to get into. I don't want to get on that hedonic treadmill. So that's really the key when it comes to wealth. Find a lifestyle that you are comfortable with, that you enjoy, and that you could maintain no matter what your income is.